we're going to dissect an oral history of the New York Post that examines rogues, renegades, wise guys. The authors, Susan Mulcahy and Frank DiGiacomo, titled Paper of Wreckage.
Behavior in the Post newsroom was like something out of Caligula. So much drinking, sex in the news building, fights in the newsroom, cocaine use, I'm sure sexual harassment. I don't even know if there's a question there. Rupert Murdoch buys the paper in 1976. How did the paper change?
Things changed drastically when Murdoch took over. As one reporter said, it was like Sid Vicious taking over the Philharmonic.
I think Frank Rich says it was like the Nazis marching into Poland.
The Post began to realize that they were getting a lot of Wall Street people because he did make the paper kind of pop and make it more fun. There were people that you wouldn't think of as typical New York Post readers who were reading the New York Post.
There was a great deal of writing the headline before the story came and fitting the story to the headline, which is part of how Headless Body and Topless Bar happened.
That's such a funny headline, but the story behind the headline is not funny at all.
Were there any ethical standards at the Post?
Well, a number of people we talked to said that it really came down to you, like what lines are you going to cross and what lines will you not cross.
The importance of the wood, the front page headline. Why was the wood so important?
For the Post at that time, newsstand sales were everything.
It was the clickbait of its day, and they would often change the wood for every single edition.
Murdoch hired some really colorful staffers.
I don't think you can talk about the Post without talking about Steve Dunleavy. He is really the personification of the Post during its wildest years. We have one story where he was having sex with a woman outside Elaine's that was hit by a snowplow and thrown into the street. Broke his leg. Pete Hamill said, I hope it wasn't his riding foot.
Everybody had a Miss Gary story. She was the head of the union for a while, and she wasn't getting what she wanted out of the negotiations, so she slapped a can of Vaseline on the table and said, if you're gonna me, use this.
Perhaps the most unique creation of the New York Post was Page 6.
Murdoch wanted political news. We had a lot of political stories on Page 6. He wanted media stories, Wall Street, New York society, entertainment, and it was supposed to be about the corridors of power, and Page 6 helped create celebrities.
You know, it's a real grinder. You are out almost every night. At a wedding I covered, Robert De Niro was there, and I was introduced to him, and he goes, where do you work? And I said, Page 6. And he said, Page 6, you f***ing brick.
The Post loved Donald Trump long before he got involved in politics.
Trump holds the record, I believe, still for the most Page 1 stories when he had the affair with Marla Maples.
The Post, in a way, was the way he learned how to use the tabloids as essentially a public address system, paved the way for what he is doing now and how he got into the White House.
How did the people who worked at the Post and how the paper itself redefine American media?
You see Murdoch coming in and building this sort of foundation of what would become a media empire, and essentially takes the Post template for tabloid journalism and puts it on television, and it's very successful. From there, Murdoch starts Fox News, and that is essentially the New York Post national political coverage on a cable network. And then MSNBC becomes progressive left, and so now we have a very fragmented media. It's really hard to tell what is true and what isn't, and that's how we got here.